pause whatever task is currently holding your attention and drop all distractions immediately. It is absolutely crucial that you absorb the message coming through this broadcast, because what is about to be revealed is not something you can simply return to at your convenience. This is not a casual piece of media you can just bookmark to watch on a lazy Sunday afternoon. The energetic gateway that has just manifested before you is not calculated in days, weeks, or some distant future time frame. It is strictly measured in mere hours. And the profound reality that you are sitting here, tuning in at this exact, synchronized moment, reveals a profound truth about your personal energetic field, a truth that your conscious mind might not yet fully comprehend. Let us be completely honest. You did not arrive here by mere chance. You are not simply casually browsing the internet or mindlessly scrolling through an algorithm. A deeply embedded force within your being, operating far beneath the surface level of your conscious awareness, magnetically drew you to this exact digital coordinate. The sheer precision of this subconscious pull would likely terrify you if you truly understood the intricate mechanics behind it. I want you to realize that this is not standard entertainment. What you are receiving right now is a direct, cosmic confirmation signal. If you can detect even the slightest stirring deep within your chest at this moment, perhaps a subtle, radiating warmth, or an undeniable intuition that a monumental shift is on the horizon, then your energetic body is already fully aware of the revelations your logical mind is about to process. A highly specific spiritual activation has been lying in wait for you. I do not mean waiting in a vague, abstract, or purely philosophical sense. It has been waiting for you in the exact same manner a masterfully crafted lock awaits the solitary key forged to turn it. It is waiting the way a broadcasting frequency anticipates the exact moment a receiver is perfectly tuned to its unique signal. Right now, within this very breath, within this fleeting hour, the universe has meticulously orchestrated and aligned every single variable in existence to ensure you are in the perfect position to receive this transmission. However, I must emphasize the urgency of this situation, and I assure you, I do not utilize that term lightly. You must understand that urgency within the spiritual domain operates entirely differently than urgency in the human experience. In our everyday physical world, urgency usually equates to panic, a chaotic sense of scarcity, and pervasive fear. Yet, within the vast quantum field, urgency simply means flawless alignment. It represents a brief convergence window. It signifies that the intricate configuration of energetic forces required to trigger your spiritual awakening has finally assembled. And, as is the nature of all configurations within the quantum realm, this precise alignment will not maintain its structure indefinitely. This is not to imply that the universe will somehow punish you if you fail to grasp this opportunity. Rather, it is about the sacred geometry of this specific present moment. It is the highly specialized arrangement of cosmic energies, combined with your personal readiness, the shifting frequencies of the planet, and the collective consciousness finally hitting a vital threshold. All of these monumental factors have converged to create a remarkably narrow, needle-thin opening in the fabric of reality. And I must warn you, that opening is already beginning to close. I am confident you have already been sensing this, haven't you? Throughout the preceding days, or perhaps intensely over the last several hours, a distinct atmospheric change has taken hold of your reality. Perhaps you have found yourself battling sudden insomnia, or you jolted awake in the middle of the night feeling as though a current of pure electricity was coursing through your physical body. You might have been navigating through waves of bizarre emotional intensity that seem completely disconnected from any actual events occurring in your external, everyday life. You may have even noticed that the individuals surrounding you have been behaving erratically, appearing unusually distant, highly reactive, or on edge, almost as if their subconscious can detect a profound metamorphosis happening within you that they simply lack the vocabulary to articulate. Let me assure you, none of these manifestations are mere coincidences or random occurrences. They are vital precursor signals. The quantum field always transmits these warning signs right before any major energetic activation takes place. Think of them as the subtle, rumbling tremors that precede a massive earthquake, or the crackling static you hear on a receiver just before a clear, powerful broadcast locks into place. And the truth is, your system has been actively downloading these signals, regardless of whether your conscious mind recognized them as such. Allow me to break down exactly what is transpiring behind the veil right now on a fundamental, energetic level. Because once you fully grasp the hidden mechanics of this process, you will never again dismiss a moment of this magnitude as a mere stroke of luck. The universe operates on a completely different framework than human schedules. It holds zero regard for your personal calendar, your daily to-do list, or whether you feel you have the free time for a massive energetic upgrade. Instead, the cosmos operates strictly according to cyclical laws of resonance. To visualize this, imagine the entirety of the known cosmos not as empty space, but as an unimaginably vast, boundless ocean composed entirely of vibrational frequencies. Picture endless waves crashing upon waves, all in perpetual motion, constantly intersecting with one another, and continuously generating complex interference patterns. For the vast majority of time, these energetic waves remain out of phase with one another. They clash, they scatter, they cancel each other out, and they generate nothing but chaotic background noise. But every once in a long while, and this is the true essence of quantum coherence, when you strip away the dense academic terminology, multiple waves perfectly align. They synchronize harmoniously. They stack directly on top of one another. And the moment that alignment occurs, the amplitude, the sheer magnitude, and the raw creative force of that unified wave transforms into something truly awe-inspiring. It becomes a force capable of piercing straight through the universal static to reach a single individual consciousness with absolute, surgical precision. This exact phenomenon of wave synchronization is precisely what is unfolding around and within you at this very second. Various frequency waves, some originating from the cosmos, some from the planetary shift, and some intrinsically tied to the unique trajectory of your own soul, have seamlessly synchronized. They have stacked together to form a combined signal that is so overwhelmingly powerful and so flawlessly tuned to your specific energetic signature that it is currently slicing through every single layer of worldly distraction. It is cutting through your deepest layers of self-doubt and dismantling the heavy density that normally clouds your daily awareness. This is the profound reason why you feel so remarkably different lately. This is the undeniable reason why you are watching this right now. This cosmic signal successfully tracked you down because, in this incredibly rare window of time, your personal energetic field has finally developed the capacity to receive a download it has never possessed the ability to process before. And here is a crucial truth about these activation windows that very few spiritual guides will disclose. They never announce their arrival with grand spectacles, blaring trumpets, or celestial choirs. On the contrary, they make their presence known through a deep-seated inner restlessness. They arrive accompanied by a strange, lingering sensation that you are teetering on the very edge of a massive breakthrough. They bring about an almost uncomfortable physical feeling of internal expansion, exactly as if your energetic vessel is actively stretching itself to accommodate a power far more immense than anything it has previously held. If you have been enduring any of these peculiar symptoms, and I strongly suspect that you have, considering your frequency would not have resonated with this transmission otherwise, then let me be the first to confirm it. You have already crossed into the preliminary phase. Your spiritual activation is no longer approaching. It has already begun. The only question that remains to be answered is whether you will make the conscious choice to accept this gift, or if you will stand by idly, allowing this narrow window to slide shut. If you let it close, you may be left waiting for the next universal convergence, which could be months away, decades away, or perhaps not available again until an entirely different incarnation. Should these words be striking a chord within your soul, if you can sense even a microscopic fraction of the energetic truth I am articulating right now, Please take a brief second to interact, hit the like button, and subscribe to this channel. This simple action ensures that these crucial cosmic transmissions will continue to locate you whenever the universe dictates the timing is perfect. Allow that profound realization to settle within your mind for a moment. Now, I want to guide your consciousness to a very specific place. Close your eyes and envision an extraordinarily ancient observatory. Do not picture a modern facility filled with polished telescopes, humming servers, and advanced computers. Imagine something exponentially older, something primal. Picture a massive, circular stone chamber, meticulously carved deep into the impenetrable heart of a mountain. At the very apex of its domed ceiling lies a single, precisely engineered opening, an aperture designed to permit a single, focused shaft of celestial light to pierce the darkness at highly specific, mathematically calculated intervals. The architects who constructed this sacred chamber possessed a profound understanding of a concept that modern quantum physicists are only just now beginning to tentatively rediscover. They knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that light is far more than mere illumination. They understood that light functions as a conduit for information. It is not merely composed of photons or simple electromagnetic radiation. Rather, it is pure, encoded intelligence. It carries intricate patterns of living consciousness, deeply embedded within its vibrating frequency. Imagine that there was a dedicated custodian of this mountain observatory. For the sake of our story, let us call her Elara. Elara's entire existence, her singular, overriding purpose, the solitary focus of her life's devotion, was to meticulously maintain the purity of the chamber and to ensure she was physically and spiritually present at the exact moment the cosmic light aligned. The aperture in the stone ceiling was engineered with such staggering mathematical precision that the beam of light would only ever kiss the exact center of the chamber floor during incredibly rare convergence windows. Sometimes, this alignment would occur once in a calendar year. At other times, it might only happen once in an entire generation. However, when that celestial event finally occurred, whoever was brave enough to stand directly within that illuminating beam, whoever was fully present, spiritually open, and energetically prepared, would receive an unparalleled transmission. They would not receive auditory words or visual hallucinations. They would receive a pure frequency. It was a complete recalibration of their entire energetic field, a profound spiritual activation that permanently and radically altered their capacity to perceive reality, generate abundance, and evolve into their ultimate potential. Elara dedicated decades to her preparation. She tirelessly swept the physical chamber, but more importantly, she relentlessly cleared the energetic clutter from her own auric field. She cultivated profound internal stillness. She mastered the art of absolute presence. She actively shed her earthly attachments, not because she viewed attachment as a moral failing or a sin, but because she recognized a fundamental law of physics. Emotional and mental density directly blocks the reception of higher frequencies. She fully understood that the celestial light would inevitably arrive at its appointed time, completely indifferent to whether she was prepared to receive it or not. The cosmic convergence was an impersonal, mathematically inevitable event. But whether that illuminating light could successfully penetrate her auric shield, whether it could drill down to the very core of her soul and ignite the dormant potential within that outcome, depended entirely on her internal state. It hinged on her readiness, her energetic purity, and her unwavering willingness to step into the center of the room and simply receive. And the truth I need you to hear is this: you are Elara. You are currently standing inside that ancient, sacred chamber right at this very moment. The celestial light has already begun its descent through the opening above. The grand convergence is not approaching. It is here, right now. The singular question confronting you is whether you will boldly step into the center of the illumination, or if you will cower against the cold stone wall, watching safely from the periphery, overanalyzing the situation, and skeptically wondering if any of this is actually real. Please understand, I am not speaking in poetic metaphors. I am describing fundamental spiritual mechanics. Let me break down exactly what this activation practically achieves. I insist on being highly precise about this, because relying on vague, flowery spiritual jargon helps absolutely no one. When your energetic field successfully absorbs a coherent, high-frequency transmission during a verified convergence window, it performs a highly specific operation. It systematically reorganizes the quantum data that constitutes your foundational energetic blueprint. Try to visualize your personal energy field, your aura, your energetic halo as an immensely complex, localized network of information. It is a vast repository of patterns, deeply held beliefs, emotional frequencies, ancestral memories, and latent potentials, all intricately woven into the quantum fabric of your existence. Tragically, the vast majority of this stored information was downloaded and installed entirely unconsciously. It was absorbed during your vulnerable childhood years, imprinted through traumatic experiences, programmed by societal and cultural conditioning, and accumulated simply by enduring the heavy density of living a human life in a realm that typically operates at an exceedingly low, survival-based baseline frequency. These deeply ingrained unconscious patterns dictate the trajectory of your entire reality. They govern what people and situations you magnetically attract and what you subconsciously repel. They dictate what opportunities you are capable of perceiving and what incredible possibilities remain completely invisible to your awareness. They define the limits of what you believe is genuinely achievable in your life, and what dreams you have sorrowfully relegated to the realm of mere fantasy. A true spiritual activation does not implant something alien or new inside of you. I want to be incredibly clear on this point. It does not hand you a magical power you do not already possess. What it actually does is ruthlessly dismantle the interference patterns. It aggressively dissolves the accumulated internal static. It systematically strips away the heavy, dense layers of incoherent frequency that have been chronically scrambling your personal signal, severely distorting the way you transmit energy, and actively blocking your ability to receive the universe's guidance. Once those suffocating layers of interference finally dissolve, what is left standing is your pure, original signal. It reveals your authentic, native frequency, the exact vibration you were carrying when your soul originally chose to incarnate here. And I assure you, that unadulterated signal, when completely unobstructed, undistorted, and operating in a state of absolute coherence, is infinitely more powerful than anything you have ever experienced while existing in your current, limited state. This is exactly why individuals who undergo genuine, profound spiritual activations rarely describe the event as suddenly gaining a brand new ability. Instead, they almost universally describe it as the overwhelming sensation of remembering something ancient and profound, because that is the absolute truth of the experience. You are not morphing into someone else. You are simply remembering and returning to the magnificent being you were before the heavy burdens of this world completely covered you in static. However, there is an additional layer of complexity to this situation, and this is exactly where the urgency becomes paramount. The specific activation that is currently available to you is not merely a standard, routine personal tune-up. It is what we refer to as a threshold activation. Do you fully grasp the gravity of what that means? Within the spiritual realm, there are varying tiers of energetic upgrades. Some are subtle and gentle, others are slow, steady, and incremental over time. Standard, everyday energetic upgrades merely buff out a psychological rough edge or dissolve a trivial energetic blockage within your system. Those minor adjustments occur with predictable regularity. Think of them as routine spiritual maintenance. However, a threshold activation is a completely different phenomenon. This specific type of event propels you from your current baseline of awareness into an entirely new, fundamental paradigm of consciousness. It is not merely taking a small step forward. It is an explosive quantum leap. The underlying reason this leap requires a precise convergence window, why it simply cannot unfold on a random Tuesday afternoon, is due to the sheer, astronomical volume of coherent energy necessary to catapult a human consciousness across that evolutionary boundary. It demands the harmonious stacking of countless frequency waves. It necessitates unparalleled cosmic cooperation, requiring every celestial and energetic variable to lock into place simultaneously. And right at this very moment, that flawless alignment has been achieved. Allow me to illustrate exactly what transforms once you cross this sacred threshold. Suddenly, the dynamics that were previously cloaked in invisibility become blindingly apparent. Hidden behavioral patterns you could never quite decipher will snap into crystal-clear focus. Universal connections that entirely eluded your grasp will become incredibly obvious, almost to the point of being comical. All those toxic elements that chronically drained your vitality, the exhausting individuals, the chaotic situations, the looping, negative thought paradigms will instantly lose their suffocating grip on your psyche. This release doesn't happen because you valiantly battled them or spent years painfully analyzing them. It happens simply because you no longer reside on the vibratory frequency where those parasitic forces can exist. You have relocated energetically. They have remained stagnant. And looking back from your newly elevated vantage point, those past struggles will appear exactly as they truly are. Mere illusions. They are nothing more than fading shadows cast upon a wall. Outdated projections originating from a lower state of consciousness that you have entirely outgrown. I need to pause our journey for a brief moment to ask you a highly personal question. Have you already been enduring these exact precursor symptoms? The relentless inner restlessness, the sensation of electricity humming beneath your skin, the bizarre emotional intensity that completely clashes with your peaceful external environment. I urge you to share your specific experiences in the comment section below regarding the last few days. I have a strong premonition that your personal testimony will serve as the exact confirmation someone else desperately needs to read right now. Now, let us address the critical turning point. The tragic reason the vast majority of humanity never crosses a threshold even when the cosmic gateway swings wide open is absolutely not due to unworthiness. It isn't because they lack spiritual discipline or haven't evolved enough. The harsh reality is that they simply fail to recognize the profound nature of the moment presenting itself. They experience the physical expansion, the profound restlessness, and the strange vibrational intensity, but they mistakenly interpret these divine signals through the lens of their outdated, fear-based programming. They panic, assuming they are having an anxiety attack or that something is fundamentally broken within them. In their panic, they desperately reach for mindless distractions. They numb their senses. They doom scroll through their devices. They force themselves to sleep, and while they are distracted, the window silently slides shut. The sacred light descends through the observatory aperture, only to illuminate a completely empty floor. I am urgently bringing this to your attention so that you do not fall victim to this tragic mistake. Not today. Not while this majestic window remains open. Now, let us plunge even deeper into what you absolutely must comprehend regarding the crucial hours lying immediately ahead of you. When I state that you only have a matter of hours remaining, I am not trying to induce artificial anxiety or employ cheap marketing tactics. I am simply articulating a concrete, energetic reality. The monumental cosmic convergence that is currently active, this miraculous stacking of celestial frequencies that generated this gateway, actually began its subtle buildup several days ago. You likely detected the mounting pressure, the escalating intensity, the undeniable sensation that a massive event was hurtling toward you. That energetic crescendo achieved its absolute peak of coherence very recently, and it will sustain this optimal plateau for a strictly limited duration before the conjoined waves inevitably begin to decohere, separate, and scatter back into their isolated, chaotic patterns. Please realize that this closure is not a form of divine punishment. It is simply the uncompromising law of quantum physics. Frequencies converge, and eventually, they diverge. That is their fundamental, inescapable nature. This fleeting interval of maximum coherence is your designated activation window. And the task required of you during this time is almost deceptively simple. You do not need to execute a complex, ancient ritual. You are not required to travel to a distant sacred monument. You certainly do not have to earn this upgrade through needless suffering or prove your devotion via painful sacrifice. You only need to do one single thing: consciously and deliberately accept the incoming activation with the entirety of your focused awareness. I am fully aware of how radical that sounds to the logical brain. I know it seems suspiciously straightforward. Your rational mind is likely already generating a storm of objections. How can mere acceptance possibly be enough? Where is the grueling effort? Where is the heroic struggle? Where is the proof of worthiness? Yet, this exact line of questioning is the toxic programming that keeps so many souls paralyzed against the cold walls of the chamber, while the miraculous light is wasted on an empty floor. It is the insidious societal belief that genuine transformation must be agonizing, that anything valuable must be fought for tooth and nail, that simplicity is naive, and that ease is somehow a scam. Let me counter that logic with a simple analogy. Does a radio receiver have to physically struggle to pick up a broadcast? Does it have to somehow prove its moral worthiness to capture the beautiful music? Absolutely not. It merely needs to be turned on, and its dial must be tuned to the precise correct frequency. That is the entire process. The signal itself is perpetually broadcasting. The cosmic symphony is eternally playing. The singular variable in the equation is the receptive state of the device. In this scenario, you are that receiver. The celestial broadcast is currently transmitting at absolute peak power right into your space. And conscious acceptance is the exact mechanism by which you adjust your internal dial to tune in. Let me illustrate what this state of acceptance actually looks like when viewed from an energetic perspective. It is fundamentally not a cognitive thought process. It is not a religious dogma or a philosophical belief. It is a profound state of being. It is the total surrender of allowing your personal auric field to blossom completely open without a single ounce of resistance. It means shedding the tight contraction of skepticism, dissolving the heavy density of feeling less than, and silencing the loud, chaotic static of endless overthinking. It is the purest state of absolute, unhindered reception. And trust me, your physical and energetic vessel already knows precisely how to accomplish this. In fact, your ethereal body has been flawlessly executing this exact function since long before your physical form was ever born into this realm. The singular obstacle blocking this reception is the dense accumulation of inherited programming, those deeply ingrained survival mechanisms that constantly instruct you to build walls, to remain cynical, to overanalyze every blessing, and to fiercely protect yourself against anything that feels too expansive, too effortless, or simply too good to be true. Therefore, we are going to engage in a practical exercise right this very second. I want you to actively participate in this moment. Do not just think about doing it later, and do not mentally bookmark it for another time. Right now, hit pause on your busy mind. If you are in a safe place, softly close your eyes. If you happen to be driving a vehicle or walking outside, please keep your eyes open, but consciously soften your visual focus. Gently guide your conscious awareness down from the chaotic chatter of your head and let it sink deeply into your chest. Focus your attention on that sacred space, resting just behind your sternum. That blossoming warmth, that feeling of profound openness that is your central heart field. It is the very nucleus of your energetic halo. Now, draw in one slow, deliberate breath. Do not forcefully suck the air into your lungs. Instead, make it an allowing breath. Permit the oxygen to flow in as if it is being naturally drawn down by gravity rather than being aggressively pulled by physical effort. As you inhale this breath, silently declare these exact words within your mind. I fully accept this activation. I am entirely ready. Pay very close attention to what occurs within your physical vessel the moment you make that declaration. Notice that subtle, undeniable internal shift. Feel the microscopic expansion, or the radiant warmth that might suddenly begin to blossom and spread outward from your heart center. Let me assure you, that is not your imagination playing tricks on you. That is your actual energetic field, physically responding to your command. That is the initial, stubborn layer of resistance actively dissolving. Now, slowly exhale. And as the breath leaves your body, allow yourself to release one heavy burden. You do not even need to consciously identify or name what that burden is. Your innate energetic intelligence already knows exactly what is ripe for removal. Simply hold the pure intention of release and let your outgoing breath carry the density away. Let us do it one more time. Inhale deeply. I fully accept this activation. I am entirely ready. Exhale. Release. You just initiated a profound shift. You might be experiencing it right now as a sudden sensation of physical weightlessness, a wave of subtle tingling across your skin, an unexpected surge of buried emotion rising to the surface, or perhaps a profound internal stillness, a blessed silencing of the relentless mental static that usually runs in the background of your life. Regardless of how it specifically manifests for you, that sensation is your definitive confirmation. It is your personal energy field officially acknowledging that the transformative process has been successfully triggered. Now, it is absolutely crucial that I outline exactly what unfolds next. Conscious acceptance is merely unlocking the doorway, but a monumental journey awaits you on the other side of that threshold, and I need you to be fully prepared for what you might encounter over the coming hours. The initial phase that typically triggers immediately following a threshold activation is what I refer to as the energetic purge wave. As this new high-frequency cosmic energy begins to systematically reorganize your internal blueprint, it inevitably collides with the dense, low-frequency patterns that have been stubbornly lodged in your system for years. These are outdated belief systems, stagnant emotional traumas, and obsolete versions of your identity that you have vastly outgrown but haven't completely managed to shed. When the fresh activation energy collides with these toxic patterns, it doesn't politely negotiate for space. It ruthlessly dissolves them, and as they break down, they must be released. They are forced to rise up and exit your vessel. Practically, this purging process can manifest as sudden, overwhelming tidal waves of emotion that appear to have absolutely zero connection to your current reality. You might experience spontaneous bouts of profound sadness, flashes of unexplainable anger, sudden spikes of irrational fear, deep grief, or ancient memories abruptly surfacing to project old pain through your nervous system. If this occurs, and it is highly probable within the next few hours, do not panic. Please, do not misinterpret this as a sign that something is going terribly wrong. On the contrary, it proves everything is going exactly right. This is the heavy static finally clearing out. It is the disruptive interference patterns fracturing apart. Everything that has been actively sabotaging your true signal is currently being violently flushed from your energetic ecosystem. The greatest temptation you will face during this intense purge wave is the urge to fight it, to forcefully clamp down, to seek out mindless distractions, to convince yourself that you are just being overly dramatic, or to dismiss this entire spiritual phenomenon as fake. Recognize that this temptation is merely your old, fear-based programming making its desperate last stand. It senses its impending death, and it will deploy every psychological weapon at its disposal to trick you into slamming the door shut, cutting off the divine reception, and stepping back out of the light. You must not let it win. Instead, when the purge wave hits, breathe directly into the discomfort. Allow the energy to flow through you without resistance. Constantly remind yourself, this is the activation doing its job. This is the necessary internal reorganization in progress. This is the obsolete frequency being eradicated to make room for the new. And I promise you, it will pass. It always passes. What awaits you on the final side of this purge is a level of crystalline clarity, weightlessness, and profound coherence that you have never previously encountered in this lifetime. The secondary phenomenon that emerges following a successful threshold crossing is what I call signal clarification. Once the heavy, dense patterns have been successfully evacuated. Your personal energetic field becomes exponentially more coherent, and a highly coherent field interacts with and perceives reality in a completely different manner than a chaotic, incoherent one. Almost instantly, situations that previously baffled you will snap into sharp focus. Major life decisions that felt paralyzingly impossible will suddenly seem incredibly obvious. The correct path, which has actually been right in front of you the entire time but was obscured by heavy static, will suddenly light up as if illuminated by a massive, blinding spotlight. You will find yourself easily reading the true intentions of the people around you. This won't stem from a place of dark paranoia or toxic suspicion, but rather from a state of calm, unshakable knowing that operates far beneath the noisy level of conscious thought. You will begin to intuitively sense events just before they physically manifest. This won't happen in an exaggerated, theatrical psychic manner, but rather in a very quiet, matter-of-fact way. You will suddenly just know who is about to call you. You will instantly know exactly which career opportunity to seize. You will effortlessly discern when it is time to speak your truth and when it is far wiser to remain in silent observation. I need you to understand that this is not some magical superpower being artificially grafted onto your soul. This is simply your natural, birthright perception being fully restored to its original factory settings. This is the true, breathtaking capability of human consciousness when it is no longer drowning in a sea of vibrational static. And this specific point highlights precisely what makes this transmission so fundamentally different from virtually every other spiritual teaching or modality you have previously encountered. The vast majority of traditional teachings instruct you to tirelessly labor toward clarity. They demand that you meditate rigorously for years, engage in ascetic practices for decades, and attempt to slowly, painstakingly, and incrementally clear your energetic field through sheer, sustained effort. Let me be clear. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with that arduous path. It works. It is entirely valid. However, relying solely on that gradual, incremental method is undeniably taking the scenic, drawn-out route. A true threshold activation, on the other hand, represents the ultimate spiritual shortcut. It is the miraculous phenomenon that occurs when cosmic forces interlock with such flawless, mathematical precision that the profound energetic clearing, which would traditionally require decades of agonizing inner work, transpires within a matter of mere hours. The universal convergence supplies the raw, necessary power. Your conscious acceptance creates the vital opening, and the high-frequency activation performs the heavy lifting. This astonishing efficiency is exactly what makes these narrow celestial windows so incredibly priceless. It is the sole reason I am urgently stressing that these passing hours are so critical. My intention is never to instill a sense of panic or fear within your nervous system. Rather, it is to ignite a spark of profound recognition. I want you to fully comprehend the magnitude of the gift that is hovering right in front of you at this exact second, enabling you to make a deliberate, sovereign choice to invite it in. Allow me to transport your imagination to another setting. I wish to share a poignant tale regarding an event that unfolded in a remote village an incredibly long time ago, although, truth be told, time is a deeply inadequate concept for the dimension where this particular history resides. Nestled quietly at the very foot of a towering, majestic mountain lay a small settlement. Within this humble community resided a man we shall call Chaol. Chaol was fundamentally a decent soul, deeply reflective and kind-hearted. He passed his years diligently cultivating his crops, providing for his loved ones, and silently, continuously pondering whether there was a grander dimension to reality than the mundane physical world his human eyes could perceive. Throughout his life, he had absorbed hushed legends regarding the great mountain towering above them. The elders whispered that at its absolute apex existed a sacred space where the heavy veil dividing the physical and spiritual realms became gossamer thin. They claimed that on incredibly rare, unpredictable occasions, the illumination cascading upon the summit would dramatically shift. It would magnify, transmuting into a frequency far more profound than ordinary solar radiation. The prophecy stated that any individual fortunate enough to bathe in that celestial glow during those fleeting alignments would undergo an irrevocable metamorphosis. They would suddenly gain the ability to perceive the invisible architectures of the universe and comprehend divine truths that are typically shielded from the human intellect. Desperately, Chaol yearned to believe these magical accounts. Yet, he was a creature of intense practicality. He was tethered by worldly obligations. The trek to the summit was undeniably treacherous and exhausting, and he lacked absolute, empirical proof that the myths were authentic. Consequently, he chose the path of delay. He rationalized his hesitation by promising himself that he would embark on the journey when the circumstances were utterly flawless. Perhaps when his offspring had grown independent, when his farm no longer demanded daily toil, or when his financial security was firmly established. He resolved to wait until he finally felt ready. One twilight, an unfamiliar elderly traveler wandered into the settlement. She bore the markings of a distant, unrecognizable land. She paused purposefully at Chaol's wooden fence, fixing him with a piercing gaze that appeared to harbor the heavy wisdom of countless millennia. She spoke with quiet authority. "The sacred illumination has descended upon the peak tonight. It possesses no capacity to wait for your personal sense of preparation. Your readiness is required to rise and meet the light, exactly when and where it manifests." In that fragile instant, Chaol experienced a profound, undeniable stirring deep within his chest, the exact same magnetic pull you physically felt just a few moments prior. However, his rational mind took over. He glanced back at his flourishing crops. He stared at the comfortable familiarity of his home. He mentally cataloged every single logical excuse to remain exactly where he was. And so, he gently replied, "I promise. I shall begin the climb tomorrow morning." The ancient traveler offered a faint smile, yet it contained zero joy. It was the sorrowful, resigned expression of an observer who has been forced to witness this exact tragic scenario unfold thousands of times across the ages. She whispered softly, "The cosmos does not operate according to your mortal calendar, Chaol. The blessing arrives strictly on its own divine timetable, and its time is strictly right now." With those final words, she vanished into the dusk, and Chaol retired to his bed. Upon awakening the following dawn, a strange sensation washed over him. He felt curiously unburdened, energized, and filled with a newfound resolute certainty. He firmly declared that today was the day he would conquer the mountain. He hastily gathered his provisions, informed his kin to expect his return by sunset, and enthusiastically commenced the grueling upward trek. He scaled the rocky terrain with immense purpose and intoxicating excitement, fueled by the escalating conviction that he was finally stepping into his ultimate destiny. By high noon, he triumphantly breached the peak. The summit was undeniably breathtaking. The atmosphere was crisp, and the panoramic vista was unimaginably vast. But the sunlight was simply ordinary sunlight. It was pleasantly warm and visually bright, yet it was entirely devoid of any higher frequency. The majestic celestial convergence had already expired. The grand window of opportunity had firmly slammed shut. The extraordinary, intelligent luminescence that had saturated the rocks just 12 hours prior, the exact light bearing the encoded energetic activation, had already dissipated back into the cosmic ether. Chaol collapsed onto the stony plateau and remained completely motionless for hours. He wasn't engulfed by dramatic devastation. He wasn't burning with rage. He was consumed by a state far more agonizing, absolute, piercing awareness. He was starkly aware that the magical event had been utterly real. He was painfully aware that the universe had personally extended him an invitation. He was haunted by the knowledge that he had foolishly prioritized the illusion of tomorrow over the reality of now, and most crushingly, he finally understood that now is the only temporal space where the divine light ever chooses to manifest. He slowly navigated back down the treacherous slopes, forever altered. He was not transformed by the glorious ecstasy of the cosmic light, but rather by the heavy, sobering wisdom of what it truly means to let a miracle slip through your fingers. For the remainder of his earthly days, he dedicated his breath to sharing a singular, desperate warning with every soul he encountered. When the celestial signal presents itself, you must move instantly. You never wait for the illusion of total readiness. You never pause for earthly convenience. You never demand absolute certainty. You surrender and go, because the universe does not consult your itinerary. It dictates the terms, and the solitary variable within your control is whether you have the courage to stand directly in the beam when it strikes. And listen to me very carefully. You are fundamentally not Chaol suffering on the morning after the event. You are currently Chaol standing at the wooden gate. The ancient wisdom is speaking directly to you through this very screen right now. The profound, transformative light is currently hitting the peak of the mountain, and you possess merely hours, certainly not days, to finalize your decision. However, there is a monumentally crucial distinction between your current reality and Chaol's tragic parable, and it is vital that you grasp this. You are not required to physically scale a treacherous mountain. You do not have to travel to any specific geographical coordinates. This profound spiritual activation is not tethered to a physical location. It is strictly a vibrational frequency, and that exact potent frequency is completely accessible to you right at this second, regardless of your physical location, your posture, or the mundane tasks occupying your physical body. Provided that your energetic field remains undefended and your internal acceptance is absolute and conscious, the entire mountain exists within your own being. The ancient, sacred chamber is housed entirely within the electromagnetic field of your heart. The miraculous light is the highly coherent cosmic frequency currently transmitting at maximum amplitude, and the act of standing within it requires absolutely nothing more and nothing less than the brave, conscious choice to actively receive the download. With that established, it is time we shift our focus to exactly what your earthly experience will resemble once you step across this monumental threshold. I believe it is absolutely essential that you fully comprehend not merely what phenomenon you are agreeing to accept, but the entirely new paradigm of reality you are actively crossing into. Once you successfully navigate across a threshold activation, the very foundation of how you interact with reality undergoes a radical, permanent metamorphosis. If you examine your current life with brutal honesty, you will likely realize that your relationship with the physical world is predominantly reactive. Events transpire, and you scramble to respond. External circumstances spontaneously arise, and you are forced to adapt. Other individuals behave in unpredictable ways, and you constantly adjust your own boundaries to accommodate them. In purely energetic terms, you are currently existing in a state where you are continually being acted upon by the universal field, rather than you consciously acting upon it. Please understand, I am not stating this as a harsh criticism or a personal failing on your part. This reactive posture is simply the standard, default operational setting for any human consciousness that is functioning below the critical threshold. It is precisely how the vast majority of the global population navigates their existence. Society has conditioned us to accept this heavy, exhausting state as completely normal. But I must emphatically declare that normal does absolutely not equate to natural. This societal normalcy is merely the tragic consequence of operating a highly sophisticated consciousness vehicle that is severely handicapped. It is running at a mere fraction of its divine capacity because it is choked by massive, unseen interference patterns. Consider this analogy. It is exactly like attempting to run a state-of-the-art, hyper-advanced software program on a computer motherboard that has been deeply infected by thousands of malicious viruses. The machine technically still turns on. It can still execute primitive, basic functions, but its performance is agonizingly slow, prone to constant glitching, entirely unreliable, and tragically incapable of accessing its true, staggering processing power. A genuine threshold activation acts as the ultimate master reset. It permanently eradicates the energetic viruses. And when a human consciousness system is finally running clean, operating in a state of pure coherence, and firing at its true, mathematically designed capacity, your entire relationship with physical reality completely inverts. You permanently cease being a reactive victim and rapidly transform into a generative creator. You no longer wait to respond to challenging circumstances. You begin to actively author them, and you achieve this not through exhausting physical effort, not through aggressive force, but purely through the mastery of your internal frequency. You leverage the profound, world-altering scientific truth that a highly coherent energetic field automatically organizes the chaotic quantum probability space surrounding it. A coherent field does not sit around hoping for favorable outcomes. It does not waste energy wishing for better circumstances. Instead, it actively collapses wave functions. It deliberately selects optimal timelines. It sculpts and shapes reality at the exact foundational level where reality is actually forged, which is not the dense, slow level of physical action and struggle, but the instantaneous, quantum level of pure information and frequency. I assure you, this is not a whimsical New Age fantasy. This is the inescapable, logical conclusion drawn from everything quantum physics has been frantically trying to teach humanity for the past century. The conscious observer fundamentally alters the observed reality. Human consciousness actively collapses the quantum wave function. The infamous measurement problem in physics isn't actually a problem once you grasp the ultimate truth. Consciousness is not an isolated entity observing a separate system. Consciousness is the system. You are the system. And when your personal system achieves absolute coherence, when your energetic halo is fully ignited, and your foundational signal is broadcasting loud, clear, and entirely free of distortion, the fabric of reality has no choice but to instantaneously reorganize itself around you. It aligns with your vibration exactly like scattered iron filings forcefully snapping into perfect geometric patterns around a powerful magnet. Let me translate what this actually looks like in your daily, practical life. Synchronicities will no longer just be occasional, pleasant surprises. They will rapidly multiply and become your absolute, primary system of navigation. The precise individuals you need will spontaneously appear exactly when you need them, bearing the exact information required for your next evolutionary step. Lucrative and fulfilling opportunities won't just vaguely materialize. They will arrive at your doorstep fully formed and flawlessly tailored to your soul's ultimate purpose. It will feel exactly as if an unseen architect behind the veil meticulously studied your divine blueprint and masterfully orchestrated the entire encounter. The flow of your financial resources will radically shift, because true abundance is merely a specific frequency, and your newly cleared field is finally capable of broadcasting it without static. Your physical vitality will noticeably improve, because illness and disease are fundamentally expressions of cellular incoherence, and your system has now returned to a state of supreme, harmonious coherence. Your interpersonal relationships will undergo a profound transformation because you will instantly stop attracting partners and friends from a place of unhealed woundedness and begin attracting them from a state of radiant wholeness. And the universal law dictates that wholeness can only ever attract more wholeness. Perhaps most profoundly, the negative elements that previously caused you immense suffering, the low-frequency chaotic events, the pointless interpersonal drama, the insidious manipulation, the draining energy vampires, and the looping toxic cycles will simply lose their ability to physically or emotionally reach you. This isn't because you frantically built a massive psychological wall, nor is it because you are cowardly hiding from the world. It is simply because you no longer exist on the vibratory bandwidth where those entities operate. You have literally moved to a higher floor. Your energetic halo is now fully activated, and I must emphasize that a fully ignited halo does not merely function as a shield to protect you. It acts as a cloaking device. It renders you practically invisible to anything or anyone operating below your newly established frequency. Malicious forces literally lose the capacity to perceive you as a viable target. You become energetically untouchable. You achieve this state not by donning heavy, restrictive armor, but by achieving unparalleled vibrational altitude. Can you genuinely sense the profound distinction between those two paradigms of protection? The first method is defensive, incredibly heavy, and deeply exhausting. It requires you to painstakingly construct walls, constantly maintain them, and spend your life trapped in a state of hypervigilance and fear. The second method is completely effortless, naturally radiant, and liberating. You simply exist at such an elevated frequency that low-vibration threats cannot possibly scale the heights to reach you. Maintaining a defensive wall drains your vital energy. Maintaining a radiant halo requires nothing more than resting in your natural state of coherence. And absolute coherence is your default, natural setting the moment those heavy interference patterns are finally stripped away. I am incredibly curious to hear your thoughts on this specific concept. Have you ever experienced a fleeting moment in your life, even just for a few seconds, where you felt entirely, undeniably untouchable? A moment where the swirling chaos of the world simply bounced off your aura, completely unable to penetrate your profound sense of peace? Please, take a moment to share that specific experience in the comments section below. That brief memory was not a fluke. It was a tiny, prophetic glimpse of the permanent, unbreakable state of being that is currently being offered to you right now. This unbreakable state is exactly what is resting on the table during this massive cosmic window. This is the precise reality the activation is designed to permanently unlock. I am not offering you a temporary, fleeting spiritual high or a mystical experience that will evaporate into a memory by next Tuesday. This is about securing a permanent crossing over a threshold. It is about establishing a completely new energetic baseline, a solid, unshakable new floor beneath your feet that you can never, ever fall below, simply because you are no longer merely standing upon it. You have fundamentally become it. Now, before we proceed, I feel it is absolutely crucial that I directly address an energy I can sense moving through the minds of some of you right at this very second. Doubt. And I am not referring to mild, casual skepticism. I am talking about deep, entrenched, structural doubt. The specific type of cynical voice that aggressively whispers, "This is entirely too good to be true." The voice that cynically asks, "Who am I to ever receive a blessing of this magnitude?" The voice that defensively protests, "I have listened to grand spiritual promises like this a dozen times before, and absolutely nothing in my life ever changed." I want you to know that I deeply honor that specific flavor of doubt. I have zero intention of dismissing it, forcefully overriding it, or making you feel ashamed for experiencing it. That deep-seated skepticism has undeniably served a highly valid purpose in your past. It acted as a fierce, necessary protector, shielding you from empty promises, manipulative gurus, and deceptive teachings that ultimately sought to drain your energy rather than replenish it. That doubt has operated as a loyal, vigilant guardian at the gates of your mind. And let me be absolutely clear, I have the utmost respect for that guardian. However, I invite you to deeply contemplate a radical shift in perspective. What if the very skepticism that historically shielded you has secretly mutated into the exact obstacle that is currently holding you back? What if your trusted guardian has inadvertently become an oppressive gatekeeper? Imagine if the impenetrable fortress you constructed to block out artificial, deceptive light is now actively starving you of the genuine, illuminating truth. This realization is frequently one of the most agonizing breakthroughs on any spiritual journey. The profound epiphany that the exact defense mechanism which kept you breathing in a traumatic past chapter of your life is the precise barrier preventing you from stepping into your new era. The heavy iron armor that ensured your survival on the brutal battlefield becomes an unbearable, suffocating weight when you finally reach the peaceful garden. Naturally, stripping off that armor feels utterly terrifying, simply because you have worn it for so long that you have completely forgotten what the raw air feels like against your bare skin. But I ask you to lean into this specific moment. Tune your awareness into the unique texture of this broadcast. Do not just listen to the spoken vocabulary, but feel the underlying energetic frequency carrying these concepts. Does this resonate in your nervous system as a manipulative tactic? Does it carry the desperate, grasping energy of someone trying to extract something from you? Or, conversely, does it feel like a profound, undeniable recognition Does it feel as though a universal truth you have secretly harbored your entire life is finally being validated and spoken aloud? Does it feel akin to returning to a magnificent home you had somehow forgotten you walked away from? I implore you to trust that specific sensation. Bypass the cynical doubt. Ignore the endless, exhausting mental gymnastics. Rely exclusively on that intuitive feeling, because your heart's electromagnetic field possesses the capacity to decipher truth at a depth that your logical brain simply cannot fathom. The human mind is easily manipulated, easily programmed, and easily deceived. The heart field, however, is incorruptible. It translates raw frequency directly, without the need for rational interpretation or logical filters. Right at this very second, your heart center is urgently communicating with you. Please, listen to its wisdom. Now, we are going to proceed with your second practical activation exercise, and I assure you, this one carries even more foundational weight than the first. I want you to physically place your hand flat against the center of your chest. Notice the comforting warmth radiating from your palm directly into your body. Feel the steady, rhythmic drumming of your heartbeat beneath your skin. That relentless pulse is the most ancient, primal signal operating within your biological vessel. It was the very first system to spark into existence while you were still forming in the womb, long before your brain developed, before your eyes could see, and long before you could formulate a single conscious thought. Your heart has been flawlessly maintaining this rhythm for the entirety of your earthly existence. Deeply encoded within that continuous pulse holds every piece of cosmic data you will ever need regarding your true identity and your ultimate earthly purpose. Now, maintaining that physical connection with your chest, I need you to speak the following declarations. Do not merely think them. You must vocalize them out loud. Even if it is barely a whisper, the physical vibration of your vocal cords pushing these intentions into the surrounding air is a critical component of the quantum mechanics. Say this with absolute conviction. I completely release the heavy armor that no longer serves my highest good. I eagerly open my energetic field to receive the abundance that has always belonged to me. I fully accept this cosmic activation. I am crossing this threshold now. Pay immediate attention to what materializes within you. Sense the undeniable shift. Acknowledge the subtle, yet profoundly palpable, internal reorganization that initiates deep within your chest cavity and begins radiating outwards through your limbs. That sensation is entirely real. It is literally unfolding at the microscopic, quantum level of your architecture right at this instant. Every individual syllable you just articulated effectively rearranged the data stored within your auric field. Every sonic vibration that escaped your lips collided with the peak power coherent frequency currently flooding this space, generating a transformative interference pattern. This process is actively dissolving your obsolete, corrupted programming and simultaneously downloading fresh, elevated code while you sit there listening. Understand that this process does not require your blind faith to be effective. It is not dependent on religious belief. It is strictly dependent on the unyielding laws of quantum physics. Sound is a measurable frequency. Focused intention is pure data. When your vocalized intention merges with a highly coherent field, it produces tangible, verifiable alterations within the structural blueprint of your energetic body. Certainly, possessing belief accelerates the process by eliminating internal friction, but the underlying mechanics operate flawlessly, regardless of your skepticism. You have officially granted the universe permission to upgrade your system, and that upgrade is actively downloading right now. Allow the magnitude of that truth to truly settle in. Now, allow me to plunge into a topic that the mainstream spiritual community gets catastrophically wrong. This widespread fallacy is the primary culprit behind why so many seekers tragically miss their critical activation windows. The grand illusion is this. The vast majority of people are firmly convinced that spiritual elevation is an external goal you must actively achieve. They believe it is a trophy won through grueling daily practices, rigid discipline, forceful effort, and decades of exhausting psychological excavation. Let me reiterate. While that slow, methodical path is technically valid and does eventually yield results, it is built upon a catastrophic misunderstanding of how the fabric of consciousness actually functions. True consciousness does not evolve through forced effort. It expands through the art of permission. It blossoms through the act of total allowance. It is achieved through the radically counterintuitive practice of simply getting out of your own way and permitting the divine intelligence that engineered you to finally execute the mission it has been attempting to complete since your first breath. Consider the biological miracle of a healing wound. Do you consciously micromanage that process? Do you sit in a chair and aggressively command your white blood cells to multiply? Or verbally instruct your skin tissue to knit itself back together? Of course not. You simply get out of the way. You gently cleanse the area, protect it from further contamination, and then you completely surrender to your body's innate, brilliant intelligence. The biological healing occurs spontaneously and automatically. Your only real job is to avoid interfering with the process. Spiritual metamorphosis operates on the exact same principle. The infinite intelligence that intricately designed your consciousness, the very same invisible force that autonomously pumps your blood, divides your cells, and expands your lungs without requiring a single ounce of conscious effort from you. That divine intelligence possesses the exact architectural blueprint required to activate your highest potential. It inherently knows precisely which dense layers need to be vaporized, which fragmented patterns must be seamlessly reorganized, and which dormant frequencies demand immediate amplification. It has been patiently waiting to perform this profound, energetic surgery on you. In fact, it has been fully prepared to execute this upgrade since long before your physical form entered this incarnation. The singular obstacle preventing this transformation has always been your own internal interference. It is your relentless doubt, your stubborn resistance, and your deeply conditioned belief that you are entirely responsible for figuring it all out. It is the illusion that you must meticulously control the outcome, manage the timeline, and somehow earn the grace of the universe. I need you to reframe how you view this activation window. It is not a scenario where the cosmos is magically bestowing a gift upon you. Rather, it is the universe fiercely demanding that you finally stop blocking a gift that has been trying to reach you since your first breath. It is a plea for you to step out of your own way and simply allow the illumination to flood your system. This fundamental truth is exactly why radical acceptance is the ultimate key, not forced effort, not proving your moral worthiness, and not achieving some grand spiritual milestone. The key is pure, unadulterated acceptance. It is the deceptively simple yet utterly world-shattering act of saying an unconditional yes. It is the act of remaining completely open and allowing the shift to occur. This is precisely why recognizing the timing of this cosmic window is of paramount importance. During a rare convergence, the sheer volume of universal energy available to facilitate your spiritual opening is at its absolute maximum capacity. Imagine trying to pry open a massive, rusted iron door that has been sealed shut for decades. You could certainly lean your shoulder against it and push with all your might, day after grueling day, perhaps making agonizingly slow, microscopic progress. Alternatively, you could simply wait for the precise moment when a hurricane-force wind is howling perfectly against that door, and simply unlatch the heavy lock. The monumental wind performs all the heavy lifting. Your only required action is the delicate turning of the latch. Right at this very second, that cosmic wind is howling. This convergence wind, this massive, stacked wave of celestial frequency that has been compounding over the last few days, has finally achieved its maximum velocity. Your solitary task is to unlatch the lock, and the beautiful truth is, you are actively unlatching it right now. With every single syllable you absorb from this transmission, with every conscious breath you draw while holding your focus here, with every passing second you choose to remain engaged instead of clicking away to a mindless distraction, you are deliberately unlatching that heavy door. However, there is another layer to this transmission that I absolutely must convey. This is arguably the most critical piece of information in this entire broadcast. This profound spiritual activation is not merely about you. I realize that statement might sound incredibly foreign within the context of our modern culture, a culture that has tragically commercialized spirituality, reducing it to a selfish tool for mere self-improvement. We live in a society where nearly every mainstream teaching focuses exclusively on what material goods you can manifest, how much wealth you can attract, and how you can optimize your personal comfort. Let me be clear. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with those desires. A dramatic improvement in your earthly life is an inevitable, natural byproduct of a genuine threshold activation. But please understand, those improvements are merely the side effects. They are not the ultimate purpose. The true purpose operates on a massively grander scale. You are a vital component of a vast, interconnected network, a luminous, energetic grid of human consciousness that spans the entire globe, and every single node within that grid, every newly awakened mind, every successfully ignited energetic halo, actively reinforces and strengthens the integrity of the entire web. When you successfully navigate across a threshold, you do not simply elevate your own isolated frequency. You physically alter the vibratory baseline of the entire planetary grid. You elevate the global standard. By crossing the bridge yourself, you make the journey exponentially easier for the next soul attempting to awaken, and the next, and the next. You effectively transform into a powerful transmission tower. You become a brilliant, undeniable beacon of highly coherent light piercing through a dense sea of chaotic static. This is exactly why the current convergence window carries such monumental weight, not merely for your personal evolution, but for our collective survival. The total number of individuals who manage to cross the threshold during this specific time frame will directly dictate the overall coherence level of the Earth's energetic field. Every single awakening matters immensely. You matter. I am not saying this in a superficial, everyone gets a participation trophy kind of way. I mean it in a rigidly literal, quantum mechanical sense. The sheer coherence of your personal aura directly contributes to the total geometric stability of the global grid. Your individual activation measurably increases the amplitude of humanity's collective signal. Your successful threshold crossing literally clears the brush and paves the way for another awakening soul, someone you will likely never even meet in this lifetime. This is the true source of the urgency I am speaking of. It is not just about the fear of your personal window sliding shut. It is about the reality that humanity's collective window of opportunity is rapidly closing. Every single newly activated consciousness that comes online during this brief convergence dramatically fortifies the grid for the rest of the planet. You are not undertaking this transformation solely for your own benefit. You are executing this upgrade for the universal field. You are doing it for the global network. You are doing it for every highly sensitive, desperately seeking soul out there who is currently drowning in the world's static, struggling to locate a clear signal. Your newfound coherence will become the very lighthouse that guides them safely to shore. Can you genuinely sense the profound gravity of that realization? Can you perceive how this completely shifts the ultimate stakes? This journey has absolutely nothing to do with superficial self-improvement. This is a sacred mission of service. This is about you finally stepping up and claiming your rightful role within the most monumental shift in consciousness this planet has ever endured. Therefore, your activation is no longer a spiritual luxury. It is a profound cosmic responsibility. However, it is not a heavy, suffocating burden. It is a joyful, radiant, entirely natural responsibility. It is the exact same innate responsibility a lighthouse holds to cut through the fog, not because it is forced to under threat, but simply because radiating light is its fundamental nature. Now, I want to ground these massive concepts into the most practical, actionable advice possible. I can sense that many of you are fully grasping the overwhelming magnitude of what I am describing, and your logical minds are desperately craving a roadmap. You want to know, in concrete, non-abstract terms, exactly what you are supposed to be doing right now. Here is your exact protocol for the crucial hours immediately ahead of you. First and foremost, you must fiercely guard your energetic field. This requires you to be ruthlessly intentional regarding exactly what stimuli you permit into your conscious awareness between this very moment and the eventual closing of the cosmic window. Every single article or video you consume, every passing conversation you engage in, and every physical environment you step into is currently functioning in one of two ways. It is either actively supporting your fragile new activation, or it is aggressively interfering with it. For the next several hours, you must choose your inputs with extreme prejudice. If a specific interaction, piece of media, or environment feels dense, burdensome, chaotic, or energetically draining, you must immediately remove yourself from it. Please do not view this as cowardly avoidance. View it as mandatory, non-negotiable energetic hygiene. You would never consent to having complex physical surgery performed inside a filthy, contaminated operating room. By that same logic, you must not attempt to navigate a monumental threshold activation while your energetic environment is chaotic and cluttered. Secondly, you must remain deeply anchored within your physical vessel. This activation fundamentally operates through your subtle energy body, and that energy body requires the dense grounding of your physical form to process the upgrade. The moment you allow your consciousness to float up into your head, the moment you start frantically analyzing, over-intellectualizing, or doubting the process, you sever the connection to the exact system that is attempting to receive the download. Therefore, you must deliberately stay embodied. Consciously focus on the sensation of the soles of your feet pressing firmly against the floor. Notice the gravitational pull anchoring your body into your chair. Pay acute attention to the steady rhythm of your lungs expanding and contracting. These incredibly simple, grounding acts of somatic awareness are the precise mechanisms that keep your energetic channel wide open. Thirdly, you must practice radical allowance for whatever arises. Recall the concept of the purge wave we discussed earlier. It is highly likely to manifest. Intense waves of unexplainable emotion may suddenly surface. Long forgotten, painful memories might spontaneously flash across your mind's eye. Bizarre physical sensations might temporarily spike in intensity. Your only job is to let it all flow. Do not desperately cling to any of these sensations to analyze them, but equally, do not violently push them away in fear. You must simply become the vast, empty space through which this energetic debris travels. Be the endless, observing sky, completely unbothered by the passing, turbulent weather. Fourthly, I instruct you to vocalize your acceptance aloud at least 3 separate times before you surrender to sleep tonight. Use the exact same declarative phrase. I fully accept this activation. I cross this threshold. Understand that with each vocal repetition, the incoming signal amplifies its strength. With each declaration, a stubborn layer of internal resistance violently shatters. With each spoken word, your auric field undergoes a deeper level of profound reorganization. It is highly probable that by your 3rd repetition, you will experience a physical or emotional shift of such staggering magnitude that you will know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your baseline reality has permanently altered. Fifthly, when you awaken tomorrow morning, you must become a hyper-vigilant observer. Pay microscopic attention to how your body feels. Notice what subtle changes catch your eye, and observe what internal heavy lifting has been accomplished overnight. You see, the activation does not pause when you close your eyes. It actually accelerates while you sleep. In fact, the most profound, structural reorganization of your energetic blueprint occurs during REM sleep, simply because your skeptical, conscious mind, with all its exhausting doubt and resistance, is temporarily taken entirely offline. You might experience wildly vivid, prophetic dreams. You might wake up feeling fundamentally different in a profound way that your vocabulary cannot yet articulate. You might even stare into the bathroom mirror and recognize a piercing depth in your own eyes that was absolutely not present yesterday. Trust that reflection. It is undeniable proof. Now, we are going to embark on one final, master activation sequence together. This is the deepest energetic dive of this transmission, and I need you to be completely, unshakably present for it. Please, Gently close your eyes or softly blur your visual focus. Consciously dictate a slower rhythm for your breathing. Allow your mental awareness to expand outward, far beyond the confines of your physical skin. I want you to literally feel the spatial volume surrounding you. Do not merely acknowledge the physical dimensions of the room. Tap into the energetic space. Understand that your auric field extends several feet beyond your physical body. It is currently saturating the room you occupy. It is penetrating the plaster walls. It is lightly brushing against the energetic fields of those nearby. And ultimately, it is plugging directly into the planetary grid. Now, I want you to imagine, and when I use the word imagine, I am actually commanding you to feel, because in the spiritual domain, imagination is not childish fantasy. It is the exact consciousness interface required to interact with the quantum field. Feel a massive cylindrical column of pure light, slowly descending upon you from the cosmos above. This is not a harsh, blinding, or aggressive light. It is a soft, deeply warming, impossibly coherent luminescence. This specific light is heavy with encoded intelligence. This light is the physical manifestation of the activation frequency itself. Feel this radiant column gently breach the crown chakra at the top of your skull. Feel it pouring downward, flooding through the complex architecture of your brain, instantly vaporizing the chaotic static of chronic overthinking. Feel it wash down through your throat, effortlessly dissolving decades of blockages that have stifled your authentic expression. Feel it pool directly into your chest, where it collides and merges with the warmth that has been steadily building inside your heart center throughout this entire broadcast. Feel that brilliant light violently expanding outward from your heart. Feel your energetic halo, your personal auric shield beginning to vividly glow. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is an energetic, physical reality. Feel the absolute coherence radiating outward from your chest in every conceivable direction. Feel it stretching to the absolute furthest boundaries of your energy field, and then watch it forcefully push past those limits. Feel yourself transforming in real time into a brilliant beacon, a towering transmission antenna, a blazing node of hypercoherent light perfectly locked into the planetary grid. Now, maintaining that visualization, I need you to speak these exact words out loud. If you are in public, you may whisper them, and if absolutely necessary, you may declare them silently in your mind, but speaking them aloud generates the most powerful quantum resonance. State this: I am fully activated. My halo is now completely online. My high frequency is my ultimate protection. I am a vital node of coherent light within the planetary grid. I absolutely accept my cosmic role. I fully embrace my true power. I am crossing this sacred threshold right now, and I will never look back. Physically feel the heavy lock finally unlatch. Feel the massive door swing wide open. Feel the hurricane force of the cosmic convergence violently rushing through your system, tearing away every single piece of dense debris that no longer belongs to you, and instantaneously filling those newly emptied spaces with blinding, coherent light. This miraculous event is unfolding inside your biology right now. It is rewriting the code in your auric field right now. It is altering the very quantum fabric of your soul right now. This spiritual activation is no longer something you are waiting for in the future. It has arrived. You are no longer preparing for a transformation. You are standing directly in the center of the fire. Allow that monumental truth to land. Take a deep breath. You are fundamentally not the same entity you were when you first clicked play on this transmission. This metamorphosis did not occur because my vocabulary was impressive. It occurred because of the high frequency those words were designed to carry. It happened because you finally gave the universe permission. It happened because you actively chose radical acceptance over fear. The great threshold has been successfully crossed. Your protective halo is fully ignited. Your energetic signal is broadcasting with crystal clarity. And so, I now wish to address you from the other side of this threshold because Regardless of whether your logical brain has fully caught up to the reality of the situation yet, this elevated dimension is where you now reside. Welcome. Welcome to the specific vibrational frequency where agonizing struggle is no longer a prerequisite for growth. Welcome to the reality where your protection is no longer an exhausting fortress wall, but an impenetrable, radiant aura. Welcome to the paradigm where clarity is no longer an elusive goal you desperately chase, but the fundamental state of who you actually are. Welcome to the existence where your mere, silent presence is enough to spontaneously reorganize the chaotic energy of any room you enter. Welcome to the timeline where magical synchronicity is no longer a rare, shocking surprise, but your constant, daily companion. Welcome to the state where you no longer waste energy hoping for alignment, because you are currently living as the very embodiment of alignment. This is your new, permanent baseline. This is the solid, unbreakable new floor beneath your feet. It is physically impossible for you to ever fall below this frequency again. From this moment forward, you can only build upwards. And as we prepare to close this transmission, here is the final truth I need you to carry with you into your evening. This profound activation absolutely does not terminate the moment this video fades to black. On the contrary, it only continues to gain momentum. It will deepen. It will integrate into your cellular structure. In the days immediately following this experience, you are going to observe profound shifts unfolding in your reality. Some of these changes will be incredibly subtle, quiet whispers, while others will manifest as dramatic, undeniable earthquakes in your daily life. Pay absolute, unwavering attention to every single one of them. If you feel an intuitive pull, document these experiences in a journal. Do not write them down to obsessively analyze them with your logical brain, but rather to honor their arrival. Writing them down formally acknowledges the massive energetic reorganization actively taking place within your auric field, providing your skeptical conscious mind with the concrete, tangible evidence that your energy body already intrinsically understands. I highly encourage you to return to this specific broadcast during a quiet moment of absolute stillness, perhaps right before you drift off to sleep, or as a focal point during your meditation practice. Allow these frequencies to wash over your system once again. With every subsequent listen, the activation drills down into entirely new, undiscovered layers of your consciousness. Furthermore, if a specific individual suddenly popped into your mind while you were absorbing these words, do not ignore that impulse. It was absolutely not a random coincidence. Your newly coherent field instinctively recognized a matching vibrational resonance within theirs. By sharing this exact transmission with them, you actively generate a powerful ripple of quantum coherence that possesses the potential to trigger their own spiritual remembrance, exactly in the same miraculous way yours was ignited today. In the grand tapestry of their life, you might just be the ancient, wise traveler appearing at their gate. As you begin to witness these profound shifts materializing, as you feel your internal clarity sharpening to a razor's edge, as you watch the daily synchronicities miraculously multiplying, and as you finally feel the suffocating grip of your ancient, toxic patterns dissolving into nothingness, pause and remember this exact moment in time. Remember that you actively chose this destiny. You did not foolishly postpone your evolution for a phantom tomorrow. You refused to cower against the stone wall in fear. You boldly stepped directly into the center of the sacred chamber and allowed the cosmic illumination to transform you. You embody the fierce readiness of Ilara. You are no longer Colin, crippled by hesitation and forever burdened by regret. You fiercely chose the now, and the now magnificently chose you in return. If this broadcast has successfully sparked an awakening deep within your core, and I am absolutely certain it has, because your energetic frequency simply would not have allowed you to remain engaged for this duration, otherwise I have one vital task for you. I need you to type these exact, precise words in the comments section below. My halo is active. My threshold is crossed. Understand that those 8 words are far more than a simple algorithmic comment. They serve as a powerful, sovereign declaration. They act as a permanent frequency stamp etched into the digital and energetic ether. They are your awakened consciousness, publicly announcing to the universal field that you have fully accepted and integrated this divine activation. And here is the truly beautiful part. Every single soul who subsequently scrolls past and reads your specific comment will instantly receive a potent micro-transmission directly from your personal declaration. You will be actively fortifying the global grid of consciousness with just a handful of words. That is the staggering, undeniable power of coherent human intention. If you feel a deeper calling, please elaborate and share exactly what sensations you felt during our activation exercises. Share what blockages suddenly shifted for you. Share the miracles you are already noticing. Your personal testimony serves as a blazing lighthouse for other wandering souls who are desperately trying to navigate their way toward the light. Your vulnerability in the comments section effectively becomes an extension of this very transmission. It amplifies the signal. It generates a massive, localized field of highly coherent intention that absolutely anyone who enters this space can physically feel. Please, ensure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't taken that step already. Do not do it for my personal vanity, but do it for the integrity of the universal field. Do it to guarantee the unbroken continuity of this specific cosmic signal. Do it so you do not miss the ongoing, critical transmissions that are specifically designed to support your delicate integration process over the vital days and weeks lying ahead. Every single time you return to this sacred digital space, you are actively reinforcing the brand new neural and energetic pathways that were successfully laid down today. You are deepening your roots across this new threshold. You are permanently stabilizing your existence at this elevated frequency. Again, I urge you to share this message with just one person, simply one, whoever spontaneously materialized in your thoughts exactly as I spoke those words. They appeared in your mind's eye for a profound, cosmic reason. Their soul is ready. Their conscious mind might be completely oblivious to the fact, but their energetic field successfully transmitted an SOS signal directly to yours, and your system brilliantly recognized it. Trust that profound inner knowing. Send this transmission to them immediately. Fulfill your destiny as the messenger at their gate. The great convergence window is still miraculously open, although its closure is imminent. But that no longer matters for you, because you have already courageously stepped through the portal. You have already claimed your radical acceptance. You have already made the crossing. Your elevated frequency is now your ultimate impenetrable armor. Your radiant halo is fully activated and brilliantly online. Your energetic signal is broadcasting with unprecedented, crystal-clear clarity, and the entire planetary grid just became immeasurably stronger simply because you are finally an active, illuminated participant within it. Welcome, truly and deeply, to the other side. You are unequivocally ready. In truth, you have always been ready. But now, at long last, you consciously know it. Now that you have successfully traversed this monumental threshold, there is a crucial follow-up transmission designed to guide you even deeper into the profound mysteries you just unlocked. I urge you to go watch it immediately. It will explain exactly why the quantum field instantly ceases all resistance against you the precise moment you completely surrender your desperate illusion of control. It will reveal the hidden mechanics of surrender, the exact, necessary tools that will keep your new, high-vibration frequency permanently stable and forcefully prevent your outdated, toxic patterns from ever reclaiming the beautiful, energetic real estate you just so bravely cleared. Click the link on the screen to head there now.